Welcome to Courage is Built Here, the podcast. I'm Justine Froelker, licensed professional counselor, author, speaker, and corporate trainer. Here, we bring my Courage is Built Here curriculum to life and community. Each week, I invite a guest to walk one of the 5 courageous pathways with me through authentic, sometimes tough, sometimes hilarious conversations. No performance, no polish, just real people practicing real courage with grit, grace, and a whole lot of love. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Courage is Built Here, the podcast. So today we are beginning with Pathway 1. Pathway 1 is feel it all, how to feel our feelings and not be our feelings. So in Pathway 1, we spend quite a bit of time identifying and clarifying and naming and operationalizing our values. Our values are the deep roots from which courage grows. Our values are the deep roots from which we live into and from courage in all spaces of our lives. And so you can't live out what you cannot name, so you have to have clarity of values. So we always start there in Pathway 1. And then, of course, feel it all. Pathway 1 includes emotional well-being. I mean, I'm a therapist. You knew we were going to talk about feelings quite a bit. So emotional well-being is going to include the work of like, how do we name our emotions correctly, identify them? How do we feel them in our body? What are the stories we tell ourselves about those emotions? What are the behaviors that we want to do when we feel certain feelings? How do those emotions come up? How do they come out? Do we react from them versus responding from our lives? How do we stop reacting from them? How do we stop being owned and defined by our emotions, learning how to regulate them and how to talk about them and how to feel them and move them through our body? That is the work of Pathway 1, to feel it all, how to feel our feelings and not be our feelings. And today we have Rebecca Pierce. She is one of my very, very, very best friends. And actually, she is going to be my first interview for this podcast. And Rebecca and I have been friends for 7 years. And in that 7 years, she has walked me through massive, massive changes and triumphs and challenges in my business. Also, the darkest, hardest health battle of my entire life. And I have gotten to witness and walk alongside her through the birth of her 5th child, the launching of her oldest child into adulthood, the launch of her first book, Do Today Well, and her starting a micro school movement, Trailblazer Academy. It is something that I love being a witness to and helping even from the sidelines and just getting to watch her build this dream and change these children's and families' lives. And so, because courage, incredible courage, is most especially built together, let's begin. All right. Welcome, Rebecca. I'm so excited you're here. I'm totally nervous too, just so you know.
That's all right. We're going to do great. It's going to be awesome.
It's really weird to be talking to you through this because I talk to you every day on Marco Polo. So
Yes.
we're just going to name that. But I'm so excited for you to be here. Thank you for being my first interview for my new podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited and proud of you. It's an awesome moment to get to be here.
Thank you. I mean, really, when I thought about it, you're the one that Marco Polo'd back a whole monologue of the entire schedule, pretty much, of what this podcast is going to be.
Of what it could be, right? And how amazing this work is. And like, there's so many good things that are in this work. And so I'm just excited and I can't wait to see who comes next and what happens with this. So thank you for trusting me to be here with you.
Of course. Of course. All right. So we're going to begin with the same question that we're always going to start with.
Okay.
When you think about courage, most especially through the lens of feel it all, how to feel our feelings and not be our feelings, is there a moment or a story that rises up for you?
Well, since we have been friends for so long, I feel like I've been in the wrestle of the feel it all for a very long time. And if I had to pinpoint one, I think it's going to actually come later. I'm going to give a little quick backstory. I'm considered a very big feeler. I have lots of big emotions.
Me
And I
too.
grew up in a home that did not. Everyone lived in boxes. They put their emotions in these boxes. And the way that they showed love was through doing. And we just didn't address the things we were feeling. We didn't address the trauma. We didn't address any of that. So along came the youngest of the fat family. And I had very big feelings about all these things, and I wasn't really given permission to feel them. And so early on, I had two people in my life, two influences that helped model what it looked like to feel your feelings. And they just gave permission for me to feel my feelings by listening and by telling their stories. And so that is, I think those two people
Love
were the
it.
cornerstone people that said it was okay to feel feelings. It was
Mm.
okay to have stories. It was okay to connect that way. And then our friendship has lasted so very long that you came at such a beautiful time in my life that just taught me the language of that and how to process it. So I think for me, with Courage is Built Here and watching this work develop and unfold and be launched and everything, I think the feel it all was the permission that you
Mhm.
have feelings and it's okay to name them. And we don't have to hold on to them. We can let them move our body through. I think the story that I think of the most, it's actually a Justine story, is that you were on travel, we were doing our Marco Polo thing and something scary had happened. Nothing actually happened, but you were going somewhere and there was a stranger and it just created adrenaline in your body. And so you were back at your hotel room and you literally were bouncing and bouncing and shaking and like telling me the story and then like literally just moving your body like a crazy woman.
Yeah, I totally remember that moment because like, it scared me so bad, and so I needed to, like, talk to someone who was gonna, like, provide safe space for me, right? While
Mhm.
also like, "Okay, I gotta get this out."
Yeah, and you literally started just bouncing and shaking your body, and whenever I think of Feel It All, I think that's what I go back to all the time, is that I walk through with so many people, I'm raising teenagers, I'm in work of emotions, I have friends who are walking through traumatic situations, and I'll say, "Okay, here's that feeling, you're scared, you're angry, you're ready to fight, whatever it is, and your body can't hold on to it. So we've got to get it out. And I will do the things that I actually saw you do, which is shake your body, bounce, jump, get it out. I'm like, look like a fool, but we've
Yeah.
got to move that through our body. And I think getting to actually watch you in real time process that became a cornerstone of like, it's okay to do this and it's actually necessary. And so I think that for me is that's what it means to feel it all, is like to have
Yeah.
the experience, to name it, and then to actually move it through your body and not let it sit in your gut or your kidneys
Mhm.
or like sit and
Right,
get stuck in your body.
right. I just heard that there's like, you don't feel if you don't process the emotion well, the question is gonna be, where's it gonna get stuck? Is it
Mm,
gonna get stuck in your kidneys? Is it gonna
right.
get stuck in your lower back, and all of a sudden you start having lower back pain, right? Like,
Mhm.
the body's wise, body keeps score, and it will win
Yes.
every single time. I think, like, when you're talking about your family, one of the things for me, like, because we'll talk about a lot in the work, like, did you grow up in a family that you didn't have language around emotion, or you, were made fun of for your
Mhm.
emotion? That's how I
Mhm.
grew up, right? Or you were taught that it was, like, self-indulgent or frivolous or only for those people to be able to feel their feelings and things like that. And so, one of the things that I'm constantly battling with, I or I think always learning and unlearning, and I'm wondering if it's true for you. Like, I I am a big feeler, and I wanna honor that. And also I'm learning, the more I walk out the work, is that I cannot and I will not be governed by those emotions anymore.
Absolutely.
And so,
Absolutely.
like, but I think sometimes there's this element of like, wait a minute, am I honoring the feelings, or is it just like, because I don't want to like poop rainbows and butterflies over them either. Like, and so there's this weird, it almost feels like a constant, it's not a balance. It's like just to
It's a
learn and
tension.
unlearn.
Mhm. I really see it as this tension, like, if you were I have a book and we talk about parasailing in it, and it's like this, like, you pull right, you pull left, you pull right and
Mhm.
pull left, like, it's just this beautiful, like, journeying of and experiencing, and the winds kind of push you back and forth, and so you have to bend and sway with those to get things under control, to go where you're supposed to go, right? To guide yourself within your path, but sometimes that means pulling a little bit more on the feeling the feelings and naming them,
Yeah.
and pulling a little bit more of we're not going to sit in them. we're going to
Mhm.
move them through our body, and we're going to get to go to the next step. We're going to keep
Right.
moving forward. And so I think you named that in your book, Courage is Built Here, about the
Yeah.
tension. I really think tension is a beautiful word because that's what it is. We don't want our feelings to be in charge of everything we do.
No.
We don't want them. They're a terrible bus driver, right? But they do deserve a seat on the bus.
Right.
And so I think as I've gotten older, it's just understanding that tension or giving yourself permission. I will get overwhelmed. I will get defeated and discouraged in different cycles and seasons.
Mhm.
And about 3 days is I've realized is like, okay, today's the day of sadness and sorrow. Tomorrow's the day of sleeping and recovery and maybe eating the foods that are not great for me. And then by day 3, if I allow myself to stay there, then I know it's no longer okay. Like
Yeah.
that's my point. And today is the day I will shower and I will yeah,
Yeah.
there's a movie and it says shower, shave and show up. And it's like
Yep.
today's the day I will shower, I will shave and I will show up. And usually I'm out of the funk by day 3 to 4,
Mhm.
but I
Mhm.
have to put on my thinking brain and encourage
Right.
myself to take that next step and not just sit in the feelings,
Mhm.
and let them overwhelm and keep me there.
Well, that is that meeting yourself with both the grace and the accountability.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you can't well, we can, and we so often do. We are amazing self-sabotagers.
Mhm.
For the most part, enjoy being stuck, even though we
It
don't.
right, it's comfortable and it's
It is
familiar and it has no expectations of us. And a lot of
zero.
times I think when we're in disappointment or shame, especially,
Mhm.
it's because of failed expectations, maybe expectations others had of us, we had of ourselves. And so when you're stuck in the muck, it is no one expects anything out of you down there. And you can't fail again because you're already in it. Right. So it
Wow.
feels almost safer and better to
Mhm.
just sit there, and then you remind yourself, like, "It's not, though. It's
Mhm.
not. I'm
And then
actually
well,
meant
like
for more."
and then but then how often do we also then, like, when we're sitting in that,
Mhm,
and then we really start believing those lies, then the lie that starts really coming in is like, "Well, no one sees me, no one wants to help
mm,
me, I have to do this all by myself."
mm,
When we've literally created those circumstances by
around us.
staying stuck,
Yes. Right.
by sitting in it.
Right. Nobody wants me every you like, just
Yeah.
it's just this terrible little spot, yes, and then I think that's where it's also important to have people, and you're one of those people for me, who can see you in it, help you validate it, and just mirror that work back
Mhm.
to you and remind you, um, of what is true and what is right and what you're capable of and what you're worthy of, and that maybe the whole world doesn't hate you because I don't hate you, right?
Right, right.
Let me be one, even if I'm just one voice, I am one voice that disproves that shame story.
Mhm.
And so it's just so important for us to have those types
Yeah.
of people in our life if we are people who get stuck kind of down in the
Mhm.
shame pit.
Mhm. It is so different, like, I said this to someone the other day, I was like, walking out this work I say it in the training all the time, like, it's super hard, especially when we talk about trust, obviously, it's super hard with your family and with
Mhm.
people that you work with, because those aren't necessarily people that you chose,
Right.
and it's such an honor to have people that you choose to walk it out with, like, it's
Yeah.
like, "Dang, I get to walk this out every day with these people, like, with you," and that means that you hold me accountable, that means that you're my mirror, it also means that sometimes you are the cheerleader, it's all of it, but it's not an inauthentic inauthentic cheerleader,
No.
it's like, "No, really, like, I can see something that you can't right now."
Yeah. My therapist actually has said this about me. So when I said I was a big feeler, he explained that there's, some people who have very linear feelings, like pro con list type of feelings, like, okay, check, 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 that is good. Check, 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 that is bad. Right. And he's like, Rebecca, you are not one of those. You are a complex feeler. I wrote it down, capable of feeling complex, opposing emotions at the same time. It's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing for someone outside of that to understand. And the reason I wanted to say that was that it's this ability to say that I can feel, you talk about it as the and, right? I
Yep.
can feel this one thing over here. It can be hard and difficult and very unfair. And I can know that I am worthy and capable of so much more. Or whatever it is, I can be happy and sad. We just launched our oldest son. He is going off to Votech, and it is this beautifully hard and amazing thing. It's everything it's supposed to be. It is, we have sent him off. We are so proud of him. He is doing the things that he has planned and dreamed to do. He's off doing those, and we miss him. We miss him so much. Our home is more empty. Our daughter, because they share a bathroom, and it was like the weekend after, and she's just like, his towel is still in there. Like, it's just like the basement is so quiet. Like, we were down in this space and it was just kind of left, and that's where he always hung out. And she was like, I just can't even sit down here. It's just too quiet. And so we miss him. And it's so cool seeing him get, his jobs and do the
Yeah.
job hunt and get an interview with an airline. And like all of these really cool things are happening
Awesome.
for him. And this is what it's supposed to be. And it is sad and happy, and that's the tension of feeling very complex things at the exact same time, and giving yourself permission to have space for both of those. It is actually human life, like, that is the
Mhm.
human experience, is having those complex emotions,
Yeah.
and not so many times we don't give ourselves
No,
permission.
no.
You're either happy or you're sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's either good or it's bad, and it's like, well, what if it's not, and
Yeah.
what if it wasn't?
What if it's both? And
What if
and
it's
it's dang, that "and" is so annoying and so beautiful.
It is. It is. So, talking about annoying. So, we haven't even talked about what I do, which is
Yeah.
I have a micro school, and
Amazing.
we have a micro school that is called Trailblazer Academy, and our values are kind, curious, brave, exceptional, and it's a wholehearted approach to STEAM education. That's what we do. And my story of the and actually comes from our staff. So we use your lovely Courage Deck. Here's a plug. If you guys don't use the courage buy the Courage Deck, get it, right?
Thank
We
you.
use it at our staff meetings every week. We pull a card, and it launches our staff time of connection. That's how we start our weekly staff meeting, and it's been the best way. And it quickly, brings connection, especially as we've grown from 4 staff members who went through your training to now 9 and 10 staff
Yep.
members. So the Courage Deck has been amazing. So in it, we will share stories, right? And we have had half of our team has gone through
Mhm.
your training, and the other half will be going through this next year. And in that, we've learned about the and you share about it in place of the word but.
Mhm.
And it's been really neat because I have a staff member who is a box. She puts her things in boxes, right? And she's learning how to maybe open those up and feel multiple things, and just that wholehearted approach, right? So in our staff meeting, they will do it intentionally towards themselves. Well, then this thing happened, but, and then they'll be like, and, da, 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 and I also felt this, and it was still hard and good, right? And it has gone over even into their family conversations and with their spouses and things like that. And it's this marker moment that happens in staff. Every time I see it, I'm like, that's the power of courage is built here. That's the power of knowing your values. That's the power of living wholehearted, is being able to say, I went through this thing, or I had this situation in this moment, and
Mhm.
there's this other side of it
Mhm.
too.
Yeah.
It wasn't all bad. That we don't have to live with the buts, because that just
Right.
cancels it out, right?
It does.
It's like there's both of them.
Mhm. And it's hard to change it, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't feel grammatically correct. It butts just fly out of our mouth, myself included, even though I literally teach it to switch it to the and that's why I love how you all Trailblazers are like, "And"
And
it's just like, no, really, it's an "and" in, like,
it
italics
is
and bold and all caps, like
underline. And it's so funny because we'll say it in such a way that you said, and use the word kind of annoying, and it's like
Mhm,
it's a little annoying,
mhm,
and it's so good.
yeah,
And it's kind of, we laugh when
mhm,
we do it now, because
mhm,
it's like and we do this on top of each other or
yeah,
whatever. And other people look at us like we're a little
mhm,
crazy.
mhm,
But it's so good for us. It's so good for us, and we love it, and we take full ownership of that. That's the work we do
yeah.
here.
Well, and I also like we can never skip over the fact that the laughter is necessary to do this courage work.
Mm,
Also, it helps open our brain up to receive things that it's uncomfortable with. And so, like, when you say like and you are able to laugh with and maybe even sometimes like at yourself a little bit,
yes, that's good.
like the brain is like, "Oh no, this is what we're doing." And it just continues to
Yes.
train the brain and
Mhm.
work those new grooves into the brain
And
as we're trying to rewrite it into courage.
absolutely, that is such a great way to put it like that. The laughter is key, and I think the laughter also makes it's not the sarcastic
Nope.
laughter, it's not the, like, armored laughter that we do to protect ourselves, it's the, like, "I know you and you know me, and this is a safe space, and so we can bring our real selves to the table. It's okay if we don't have it all together. It's okay if we are gonna correct our own language in the middle of this conversation.
Yeah.
We are not doing it as a like, we're not correcting you, we're encouraging you."
Uh-huh.
You
Mhm.
know, and I think that's
Yeah.
how we kind of
Yeah.
view it and the culture of our
Yeah.
team.
Well, and I also loved you had shared it in a testimony for me. You had talked about how that had leaked over into your personal lives with your husbands. And the husband's like, "What the heck is the deal with
What
this
is going
aunt?
on?
Like, why?"
Right. Right. And so and I do have to say the night that it really came to pass was, there was some alcohol involved. So
Couple drinks.
so the ladies were a little extra, giddy, I guess you could say.
The
So we're
ands
having
were like flying.
yeah, it was like, "And," like, we're coming up big with it, and, this one husband literally was like, "What in the world is happening?" We were just to
Celebratory.
give a quick context with it is, our oldest son was getting ready to make a very big,
Mhm.
decision and investment with his life, and we had 6 adults who love him and
Yep.
love each other, very close, wanting to sit and just talk with him. And like I said, some of the ladies had had some drinks, and so we were just a little extra
Yep.
encouraging. And the husbands were kind of saying, well, you need to consider this, but don't think about it like this. And we'd be like, and and so eventually, like, what is the
Yeah.
deal? And we're like, and we did just defined it. You can have two opposing emotions at the exact same time, and both are valid, and you don't have to delete one just because you're feeling the other.
Yep. Exactly.
So we were able to carry the
Yeah.
teach even in that moment.
Well, and like that's you do the work in all the spaces of your life.
You've taught me how to do that. I mean, 7 years of friendship
Yeah.
will do that, right? And I think that's what has helped me. My husband has attended your training and he was like, "Oh my gosh, it's just I have both of you now in my head." Right? Like both of you now.
You're
And
welcome.
yes, you're welcome for that. And it's because of our friendship, right, that it really has leaked into all of these spaces and kept me accountable in all these spaces and helped me because this is actually who I want to be. I am here
Yeah.
because I actually am a person who wants to live wholeheartedly. I am a person who has a big feeler. I am a person who wants to give my kids the tools and resources on how to do this far sooner than I
Yeah.
did, right?
Yeah.
So I've been able to get
Yeah.
that, through our
Yeah.
friendship and through this work.
Well, and like, and you also do it. I always I end my keynotes with like courage is built here. Like it
Mm,
is between us. And so like even just having those 6 adults all speaking into your son's life, like that's courage between us, right? Like
yeah,
you walking it out with the teachers at Trailblazer, all of like us doing it in Marco Polo. I mean, even though we don't get to see each other often in person because we live over an hour away from each other, right? It's just like this element of uh, when we turn back toward one another, it's how we're going to get through it.
absolutely, absolutely. The community and the
Yeah,
connection
yeah,
piece of it
yeah. I love
has
it.
to,
Yeah,
right?
we're never we can't do this by ourselves. Oh my gosh, we have
Mm-mm.
to stop trying. We have to stop
Yes,
trying.
and I think that's the thing about courage is that, it's never done alone. Like
No.
anytime you hear a story of courage, whether it's the heroic story of courage, it's usually built into relationship of one person overcoming or walking through it, feeling fear
Mhm,
and being brave,
mhm.
right? Feeling fear and doing the scary thing.
Yep.
But it's in connection to that other person, to
Yeah.
another person or another living creature of some
Yeah.
some type, but taking that risk and and
Yeah.
and doing it in because of connection.
Mhm.
And I think that is actually the secret sauce
Yeah.
of courage work
Mhm.
is that it has to happen in
Yep.
connection. And that's yeah.
Yeah. That's I mean, that's how come every time I get that call, like, "Do you do one-on-one work still?" And, like, I have that boundary of, I'll do one-on-one when you've done the full curriculum, because what
Mm,
I find is that you wanna do the full curriculum one-on-one, and the power's in the room with 20 to 40 other people's hearts and stories and struggles, and
absolutely.
like, it's in community. It's in connection.
Mhm.
I mean, that was really your brainchild of starting this podcast, like, for people to be able to see me in community and connection with people walking out to work. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
I
love
think
it.
that's so
I
good.
love it.
I love it.
I love it. All right, so before I give you my last 2 questions,
Sure.
first off, was there anything that you wanted to share about Feel It All that you didn't get to yet? Because, I mean, I know
I
you
think
prepared, so.
yeah, I did. I prepared so many. So I'm looking over my notes right now and I'm like, man, there's so much that we didn't cover.
Mhm.
I think
And I
and
will remind you that you were the one that was like, 25-minute episodes are
right.
great.
They are great. They are great.
Which
And this
also
just means
means we have material for season 2.
you're gonna have me
Yeah.
back. So maybe I will hold off on that.
Oh,
Okay, okay, here's what here's where I'm gonna go. It's actually where Encourage is built here in the book, where you talk about feel it all. Where do you start? And you start in your values.
yeah.
So that's where I want to end is in the values. So I have 2 values. My 2 values are truth and wholeheartedness. And you have taught in this work that you hold them in each hand with your feet firmly planted, right? And that's how you move forward. And I think it's so important. And all of my staff, I actually have them in our summer training. That's just our staff. They have to identify their values. And one of our staff members has said, I'm interviewing values. I don't know which ones are mine yet, but I'm still interviewing this other one. Yeah, it's
Oh,
great
I never
language.
heard it put that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm interviewing them. And, so she has one, but there was one she's interviewing.
Okay.
And then after they work to identify their own, then they identify their values for their classroom.
Ooh,
And it's like, here's how I want my classroom to
love
look
it.
and feel. And they create a sign and everything for that. Because values, if we don't know who we are,
Mhm.
we don't know what we're willing to do. We don't know what we're willing to be courageous for. We don't know the ands we're willing to hold on to and the tension points. We don't know any of that. And so for Trailblazer, our 3 values are kind, curious, and brave. And we just say if it's not kind, if it's not curious, if it's not brave, it's not Trailblazer. And every time we try to walk through these conversations at our staff table, with parents, with these students, as we try to guide them through their own very big emotions and giving them language, we go back to that. How do we do this in a way that is kind, that is curious, that is brave? And those values are what help us to walk out this work every single day in every single space. So, my encouragement to anyone is that if they when they start Courage is Built Here, or if they haven't started it, is to identify those values, what they are for yourself, and then the institutions you're in. And if your institution does not have clear values,
Mhm.
you're going to be a mess. You're going to have a culture that is not
Yep.
clear.
Yep, always, because you can't live out what you can't name. Yep,
Hmm.
for sure. I love it. All
Okay,
right.
that's all I had.
I love it. So, question that we're always gonna ask at the end. When has courage looked different than you expected, and what did it teach you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I had to really think about that one
Uh-huh.
because in our kind, curious, and brave, we ask whenever we interview staff, we say, which one of these is easiest for you and which one is the stretch?
Mm,
And we ask them, like, which one's easy, which one is a stretch? And brave is actually my easiest.
okay.
It's easy to have 20 seconds of bravery. It's easy to go and be bold and go and do that big thing. That is easy. For me, the call to courage in my everyday work is the not giving up. It's the continuing on
Yeah.
and to keep going. That's where I have wanted to stop. Right. I say I'm a great starter, terrible finisher. And I just gave myself a perpetual job when I started a micro school
Yeah.
and, of educating the families and my own students and things like that. My youngest hasn't even hit kindergarten yet. Like I have a full time job for a very long time. And, the call to courage for me has come in not giving up
Mhm.
and continuing to rise again and continuing to come back and to get feedback and to keep being more kind, more curious, and more brave with myself, with my team, and with parents and these students in this community. That has been the hardest thing. And it's been the very best. It's made me the very
Mhm.
best version of myself as a result.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. Okay, your surprise question. Are you ready?
Yes.
What's a time that your courage and your values lined up in a way that shaped your life?
That's a fantastic question. Um, mm, and I think that answer is going to be Trailblazer. And what I mean by that is that we are entrepreneurs. We started a lot of different small businesses. I've been a full-time mom for 15 years, and I thought I was going into pastoral work,
Mhm.
and that's what I was in seminary for. And the Lord just said to me, like, Hillsboro, that's our town, doesn't need another church. It needs a better school. And when I looked at my family, when I looked at the things I had instilled in our older children who are now teenagers, when I looked at the things I wanted to instill in our younger children, when I looked at the needs of neurodiversity, emotional care, community mindedness, self awareness, all of these things, like it did not exist, especially did not exist an hour outside of the city in a more of a rural setting. And so, what was true was that everyone is deserving of an education that shapes their whole character. And what does it mean to be wholehearted? And it was to pull that into that and say, if I'm going to devote myself to something, let it be to this. Scripture is very clear that Jesus, calls the little children to himself. These are the greatest in the kingdom. So this must then be the greatest work, is to educate and shape hearts and minds. And so being able to launch Trailblazer, not giving up
Sure.
and continuing on. We're going into our fourth school year, 2 campuses, and it's becoming a little movement. Shaping that has been far more than I could ever have imagined, and it is the most fulfilling, hardest, and goodest work there has ever been of my life. And I say that outside of marriage and parenting because those have shaped what I am,
Of
right?
course. Yeah.
What I do at
Yep.
school is what we do in our home,
Yeah.
first and foremost. And God gave me 15 years of doing it just in my home. And now I'm getting to do it outside my home as well and build a community that shares values like that.
Mhm. Oh, it's so good. Okay.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Thanks for having me.
Where can people find you?
Yeah.
We'll make sure to
So
put it in the
I'm
show notes too, but where can people
okay.
find you?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna push everyone to our school because it's actually where I spend all my time on
Yeah.
social media. So it's Explore Trailblazer. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook there, and our website is Explore Trailblazer as well. And I do have a book that is not
Mhm.
about Trailblazer,
Mhm.
but it does precede the work that we do, which is
Yep.
called Do Today Well, and it's found on Amazon, and it's just grace-based strategies for living a faith-filled life. So
I love it. Thank you,
thanks
my
for having
friend.
me. You're welcome.
I
Thanks for
love
having me.
you.
Love you
All
too.
right. Thanks for being here, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Courage is Built Here podcast. Whether you're brand new to this work or living it out loud every day, I hope today was helpful, hopeful, and a reminder that you're not alone. What one bit of courage will you take from this episode, and how will you walk it out? If this episode encouraged you, share it with a friend, leave us a review, and please make sure you like and subscribe. New episodes come out every Wednesday on your favorite podcast platform and Fridays on YouTube. For more resources, head to JustineFroelker.com and click to my store. Because courage isn't a one-time thing, it's built right here, one small choice at a time, and especially between us.